So my name is Mike Brevoort. I'm from Robots and Pencils. I make Beep Boop, which is a platform for Slack integrations. And today I want to talk to you about a new term that I made up that may or may not be a good term, but app bots as an alternative to chat bots. So usually when we think of bots, we talk about conversation, we talk about dialogue, and a back and forth, a verbal back and forth of conversation. And these conversations with bots usually remind me of this quote here, which is, I install this bot, I start the chat with it, it says hi, it says hi back, and then all of a sudden I realize that this thing really isn't that intelligent, and I'm really disappointed. And so taking a step back, if we think about what's behind the trend of bots in the first place, one of the key things is just the emergence of these bot platforms with millions and billions of users and eyes and this opportunity, and we're drawn to the conversational nature because it's a chat platform. But I think there's another piece of this, which is the importance of shared experience and relationship that occurs within these systems, especially with social bots, right? And I think we overemphasize the conversation. We get caught in that tractor beam of myopically focusing on conversation. I think we have this opportunity in these platforms where we really have these human-first operating systems, where these humans can talk to computers in a way that they are really adjacent, but we don't have to necessarily talk in language. I think I love chatbots, but I think there are alternatives. And this is back to my original point. One of the examples that happens is it starts off really nice and neat, and it looks like an intelligent thing, and then all of a sudden it just completely lets you down and falls apart, and you're like, what the, this thing is awful, right? And I think we set a bad expectation when we try to trick users that our bot's actually intelligent. And so what's an app bot to do, right? And I think you either need to be really intelligent or really dumb. And in some of the in app bot cases, I'm basically saying punt on the conversation. If the user experience is better for you to actually provide an app inside of a chat platform for the for those reasons and the benefits you get in the chat platform. So they are minimally conversational, structured, bounded, and purposeful, right? For very specific reasons. And so they're not conversational because chatbots are conversation, and this is an alternative. And so one example is Slack's call feature, which I would call an app bot. It's launched from a channel, like a very specific channel, and it's launched to the users within that specific channel. So the value really is where it's launched from. And then after it's launched, it's connected to that channel. And so it writes back pertinent information into that channel, but it doesn't trash the channel with a bunch of history. It just leaves these little breadcrumbs of what actually happened. And so the value is where it's launched from. And so these app bots, if you will, are really appropriate in these cases where a conversational user experience just isn't better, right? I know we like to think that we can make it and we can just work harder on it to be better, but in a lot of cases, they're not better. And in places where I think they're not better is where you have these very structured hierarchical navigations that are well known and bounded. And this is an example of the Beep Boop bot that we built for our own product, where when you navigate the views, we actually replace the current view, and we have a back button. And then in this case, this is an example on one of the shared channels where we're actually using ephemeral messages in a shared context where it makes sense to use the app there, but we're showing you your private data in an ephemeral message. And then in addition, you could launch the bot, or you could launch your app, but you could also close it. And this was actually something that users asked of us in some of our early testing. They're like, I just feel like I want to close this thing and get rid of it, because there's really no historical relevance in the stream in the first place. And then lastly, here's an example of a bot that we have running in our office. This is like the first sort of POC that we did of this, is that we have a Spotify bot. And this isn't conversational. It shows what's currently playing, and it's functional, but it's in Slack. And so all of these things are really driven by, and hindered by sort of the capabilities of those platforms, right? Like the fact that we have buttons in Slack and can use that for navigation creates this new opportunity. Now, there may be something new, or that may go away, but ultimately, I just want you to think differently, right? I know we're so focused on the conversation, but sort of where the beauty is this exploring all these dark corners of unknown and what can happen when you build apps on these platforms. So thanks again. My name is Mike, and on to the drinks and the dinner, and behave yourselves.